this summer. Now, of course, it is the transfer window and plenty of moves have already happened, but plenty of moves could still happen. And there's going to be plenty of sagas for the rest of the summer, and a lot of these players I list in this video will be involved in it. So I've compiled a list of 50 players for various reasons who you need to sort of keep your eye out on this summer, who you might see in the headlines for various reasons. Some of them are pretty much guaranteed going to be leaving their clubs, it's just a matter of where. Some of them are potentially going to get a big move this summer to a big club, but it may or may not happen. Some people need to sort of revitalise their careers with this summer with a move, and maybe if they don't get that move, maybe their careers are going to stagnate, and some of them maybe aren't being linked heavily to clubs right now, but maybe later on in the window could potentially be on the move if clubs miss out on their targets. So I've got 50 here from all across Europe. Of course, let me know any in the comments who you think I could add to this list. And I should also caveat this, of course, by saying probably some of these people by the time you see this would have already moved clubs, but that's why I did 50, because most of them will still be on the market. So sit back, relax, and let me tell you about some players who could be on the move and maybe your club could be signing this summer. So, but in no particular order, we start with number 1, Anthony. 6 months ago, the number of potential suitors for Anthony could probably have been counted on one hand. Regarded as one of the biggest transfer flops in Man United history, any hope of United recouping even half of the 85 million they spent on him seemed delusional. However, after reviving his career during a loan spell at Real Betis, Anthony has re-emerged as a viable option for clubs around Europe this summer. He will almost certainly be leaving United on a permanent deal, but let's see where our GOAT ends up. Number 2, Andrea Kambiaso. Juventus fans breathed a sigh of relief when the January window finally closed, as they'd been fearing a deadline day move to Manchester City for Andrea Kambiaso. At one point during January, the deal looked a formality, but no agreement was reached over the fee, with Juve said to have demanded around £65 million. This saga is far from over though, as it's widely expected that City will return for the 24-year-old during the summer, with Pep apparently feeling the versatile fullback can be a key component in his rebuild. Number 3, Tyler Dibling. There wasn't much to like about Southampton last season, but the emergence of Tyler Dibling did catch the eye of many onlookers. The 19-year-old earned his first regular taste of first-team football and really didn't look out of place. Bayern Munich, Everton and Newcastle have been cited as potential suitors, but Tottenham find themselves at the front of the queue right now. The Europa League winners believe they can agree a £50 million deal with the Saints to get one of English football's most talented teenagers to North London. Number 4, Hugo Ekitike. While Omar Mamouche left Frankfurt for Manchester City in January, his partner in crime, Hugo Ekitike, remained in Germany to get the job done. The forward fired Eintracht to a third-place finish in the Bundesliga, finishing with 34 combined goals and assists across all competitions. Unsurprisingly, that has led to a growing interest in it has been reported that Manchester United and Liverpool in particular are keen on getting the deal done for the 22-year-old. He won't come cheap though, with Eintracht placing a £80 million price tag on Ekadike, but he could be one of the number 9s to make a move this summer. Number 5. Alejandro Garnacho. Not too long ago, Alejandro Garnacho was seen as the crown jewel of the United Academy and the future winger for the club. However, he has massively fallen out with United boss Ruben Amorim and has reportedly been told to find a new club this summer. The Argentina winger came close to leaving Old Trafford back in January when both Chelsea and Napoli showed interest in signing him, and both could come back in again now United's negotiating position has been weakened. Number 6. Jack Grealish. The writing has been on the wall for some time at Manchester City for Jack Grealish. The £100 million man hasn't lived up to expectations since his arrival, and he now looks certain to be moved on this summer after he was left out of their Club World Cup squad. Grealish turns 30 in September, and therefore has no time to waste as he aims to get the most out of his undoubted talents. Newcastle, Tottenham and Everton have emerged as early options in what looks likely to become something of a saga in the coming weeks. Number 7. Alexander Isak. With Erling Haaland committed to Manchester City, Alexander Isak is undoubtedly the most in-demand attacker in England. There is not a single club that wouldn't love to sign a player who absolutely tore up the Premier League last season. The problem is the price. Newcastle won't accept anything less than a 9-figure fee for Isak, especially after Champions League football was secured. The chances of anyone getting the Swede out of St James's Park is slim, but don't rule out the possibility of a club making a serious statement and putting down the money to sign Alexander Isak. Number 8. Rafael Leao. AC Milan's failure to qualify for European football next season has left them open to losing some of their biggest names this summer, with the biggest, former Serie A MVP Rafael Leao, likely to depart. The Portuguese forward has flattered to deceive at times in recent seasons, and Milan may now look to cash in on one of their prized assets. Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid and Arsenal will be watching this one closely. Number 9. Kobbie Mainoo. It would have felt unthinkable that Manchester United might consider selling Kobbie Mainoo this time last year, but there is now a real chance that the midfielder could move on. Mainoo has struggled to hold down a role in Amorim's system, and as an academy graduate would represent pure profit if United needed to boost their finances in order to make other signings for their rebuild. Chelsea showed a interest in the teenager during the January window, and if a decent offer came in for Mainoo, I'm sure United would be seriously tempted. Number 10. Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez has gone from being a little-known Arsenal reserve to a 2-time Yashin Trophy winner during his time at Aston Villa, but it now seems the Argentine is set to depart Villa Park. It was thought that the Saudi Pro League would be Martinez's most likely destination, but Manchester United might yet be able to tempt him to remain in the Premier League as they consider moving on from Andre Onana. it appears his time at Villa is coming to an end. Number 11. Christopher Nkunku. It is honestly surprising that Christopher Nkunku is still at Chelsea. The French forward should have forced his way out of Stamford Bridge in January, and he is far too talented to be spending the majority of his time on the bench. Nkunku is good enough to be playing regularly for one of Europe's biggest clubs, and there was talk of a January move to Bayern Munich, but those rumours did not materialise into a deal. Manchester United were also said to be keen during the winter, but surely this will be the window Nkunku gets his move. Number 12. Darwin Núñez. He may have become a cult hero among the Anfield faithful, but it feels like the time is right for Liverpool to cut their losses on Darwin. The Uruguayan managed just 5 goals last season, and it's difficult to see a way back into the starting lineup for Núñez. The 25-year-old has long been linked with a move to the Saudi League. A switch to Al Hilal doesn't fill out the question. Clubs across Europe, though, are still keen on Núñez, such as Napoli. Number 13. Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen was arguably the biggest loser of the last summer window. The Nigerian was meant to join one of Europe's elite clubs, but he ended up at Galatasaray, a great club but not exactly the destination he had in mind. The question now then is what will happen this summer as he returns to Napoli. After scoring 37 goals last season, Osimhen is clearly too good to stay in Turkey, and it would be a big surprise if he doesn't finally make the move to an elite club. Number 14. João Pedro. João Pedro's return of 25 goals over the course of his 2 seasons at Brighton has led to him being linked with bigger clubs in the past, but it remains to be seen where exactly he lands. Chelsea, Aston Villa and Newcastle have emerged as João Pedro's most viable options early in the window, as Brighton have made him available this summer, but it wouldn't be a shock if more teams show an interest should they fail to land their other striker or number 10 targets. Number 15. Marcus Rashford. The question around Marcus Rashford isn't whether he will leave United this summer, but rather how much they will get and where he will go. Ruben Amorim throws out the England international almost immediately, but Rashford showed he can still produce during a encouraging loan spell at Aston Villa. United are hopeful of earning £40 million from the sale of Rashford, but it remains to be seen who will pay the money. Number 16. Christian Romero. Christian Romero's importance to Tottenham was illustrated in the role he played in their Europa League success, and new manager Thomas Frank would thus be reluctant to lose the central defender. Romero, though, has admirers at Atletico Madrid, including his Argentine compatriot Diego Simeone. The Spanish side have reportedly made the World Cup winner their priority summer targets. Number 17. Jadon Sancho. Manchester United must have thought they were rid of Sancho when they waved him off to Chelsea on deadline day last summer. The Blues took out an initial season-long loan with an obligation to buy Sancho. However, it emerged Chelsea had a clause to pay $5 million and back out the deal, which they did, leaving Sancho searching for a new club yet again. Quite where he goes is really anybody's guess. and Sesko would join one of Europe's elite clubs last summer. However, despite the links, he ended up signing a new contract at Leipzig. Of course, that deal was done purely to ensure they make as much money as possible when they sell him this year, with a reported release clause inserted into his contract. After another good year, Sesko is set for that big move this summer, with Arsenal heavily linked. However, Leipzig won't sell him for a cheap, and this could be a really long saga, as Sesko is one of the most sought after strikers in Europe. Number 19, Xavi Simons. It was only back in January when RB Leipzig paid 42 million to make Simons' loan from PSG permanent, but things move fast in the world of football, and the German side failure to qualify for Europe has led to Simons requesting a move away. Simons' ideal move is said to be a return to Barcelona, but a switch to the Premier League is considered to be more likely right now, with Tottenham among those to have shown an interest. Number 20, Victor Gyökeres. One of the most sought after strikers this summer, Victor Gyökeres will have a choice of clubs, with most of Europe's elite clubs interested in signing him. The Sporting striker scored 53 goals in 51 games last season and is thought to be available for around 55 million this summer, with many clubs such as Arsenal and Manchester United heavily interested. Number 21, Johan Wissa. It appears to be an end of an era for Brentford, with manager Thomas Frank leaving this summer, and star players Brian Mbeumo and Christian Norgard also set to depart. For that reason, Johan Wissa may see this as a good time to depart too. Nottingham Forest had a bid of £22 million rejected in January for Wissa, and Spurs and West Ham have also reportedly watched him. If he wanted to make a move, there will certainly be interest in Wissa. Number 22, Harvey Elliott. The young midfielder has picked up silverware at Liverpool but has struggled for regular starts. With the Premier League champions already strengthening this summer with the signing of Florian Wirtz, Elliott has fallen down the pecking order further, and it might be the time for Elliott to move on and become a more significant player elsewhere. Add in the fact he has just 2 years remaining on his contract, Liverpool might do business at a fairly reasonable price. Number 23, Aaron Ramsdale. Another post-relegation transfer surely looms for the England goalkeeper following Southampton's return to the Championship. Given his Premier League experience, he is likely a prime candidate for a move back to the Prem, with numerous clubs in need of a number one. Aaron Ramsdale, I'm sure, will be on their lists. Number 24, Antoine Semenyo. A player very much in demand, Antoine Semenyo was one of the best left wingers in the Premier League last season. Clubs such as Manchester United and Tottenham are very keen on Semenyo, although Bournemouth have put a £70 million price tag on him, so it remains to be seen if a club is willing to cough up the money for the Ghanaian. Number 25, Raheem Sterling. Finding his way back into the Chelsea lineup looks as unlikely as a permanent move to Arsenal for Raheem Sterling. Where does he go from here? Nobody really knows. That being said, Sterling is still 30, and I'm sure if he takes a reduced wage, some Premier League clubs would be willing to take a 26. Alexander Zinchenko. Having fallen out of favour at Arsenal due to the emergence of teenager Miles Lewis-Skelly, the Ukrainian is expected to depart the Emirates. Despite falling down the pecking order, he is still a very good player, and many clubs around Europe would be interested in such an experienced and versatile fullback. Number 27. Ademola Lookman. Atalanta's talisman was terrific yet again last campaign, but it appears his time in Bergamo is coming to an end. He fell out with former coach Gasperini and was very close to a move to PSG last summer, but this will surely be the window the former Everton and Fulham man makes a big move away from Atalanta. Number 28. James McAtee. The Manchester City Academy graduate is open to leaving this summer after getting limited minutes last season. Interest is thought to be very high in McAtee, with the likes of Nottingham Forest, Bayer Leverkusen and Borussia Dortmund among those keen on the attacking mids, who is about to enter the final year of his deal. Number 29. Eberiche Eze. Crystal Palace securing Europa League qualification by winning the FA Cup is a strong pitch for the 26-year-old to stay for another year. But after his best season yet, there will surely be more interest in the attacking midfielder this time around. Manchester City have tracked him previously, however it seems Tottenham are the current leaders in the race. Number 30. Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Ter Stegen was one of Barcelona's best players in the 18-19 season and the 22-23 La Liga winning seasons. However, he struggled mightily in between, and injuries have significantly hampered his confidence and shot-stopping ability. Ter Stegen's time at Barcelona seems to be up with the arrival of Garcia and with Wojciech Szczesny's fantastic form last year, but Ter Stegen can still perform at the top level for another club in Europe. Number 31. Mike Maignan. Another goalkeeper on the market this summer, the 29-year-old France international has the quality to make him an obvious target, and his contract situation means it should not break the bank to sign him. Chelsea were interested but have now pulled away from a deal. Unless Milan can agree a new deal with their number one, they will not be in a position to resist, unless they are happy for him to leave for free next summer. Number 32. Anthony Robinson. Anthony Robinson was one of the standout Premier League performers of the season. Last term he had a very productive campaign, registering 10 assists, the most of any defender in the league. There will be plenty of teams in the market for a left back this summer, and Robinson will inevitably be high up on the scouting list, given how well he balances defence with attack. Number 33. Joao Felix. Who might be the next club to take on the Joao Felix project? Since his breakout season at Benfica and £100 million move to Atletico Madrid, he has been a footnote at multiple clubs, including Barcelona, Chelsea, and most recently Milan. Joao Felix has the technique and flair to impact games, but does not work hard enough out of possession to make a difference. At 25, he should be entering the peak of his career, but those years are unlikely to be spent at Chelsea, despite his contract running until 2031. Number 34, Rasmus Højlund. When Manchester United signed Højlund, it felt like a shrewd move, given his age, profile and talents. But 2 seasons on and it has not worked out for the Dane in Manchester. The past couple years will have been a test like no other for Højlund, and if United bring in another number 9, Højlund will likely depart, with heavy interest from some Serie A clubs. Number 35, Victor Boniface. The Leverkusen project is well and truly over, with manager Xabi Alonso gone, star player Florian Wirtz gone, and vice-captain Jonathan Tah also leaving. For that reason, one of their stars in the last 2 seasons may feel it's time for him to move on as well. Boniface was on the verge of moving to Saudi Arabia in January before it fell through. A Saudi club may come calling again this summer, or maybe a European giants in need of a striker. Number 36, Yoel Hato. One of the best young defenders in Europe, Yoel Hato is the next big thing to emerge from the famed Ajax academy. Hato is still a teenager, yet already has been a key player for Ajax for 2 seasons now, and after Ajax fought off heavy interest last summer from the likes of Arsenal, they may finally be willing to cash in on their young superstar. Number 37, Samu Agahawa. Agahawa was part of a long saga last summer, as he was on the verge of joining Chelsea from Atletico Madrid as part of the Conor Gallagher deal, until he failed his medical and the deal was off. Instead, he joined Porto and showed why Chelsea were so interested in him, with only Victor Gyökeres scoring more goals than him in the Portuguese league last season, and he may well be on the move yet again this summer. Number 38, Malik Fofana. Malik Fofana was already being linked to big clubs at the start of this summer after the young winger starred on the left for Lyon in France. The likes of Chelsea and Liverpool have already inquired, but add in the fact that Lyon have entered financial crisis and been relegated to France's 2nd division, it now seems inevitable Fofana will make a move, with surely now even more clubs going to be interested in the winger. Number 39, Morgan Gibbs-White. It feels inevitable after the season they had that surely one Forest star will be poached. Newcastle have already tried to take Elanga, but the other one who seems likely for a move is Gibbs-White. Manchester City were heavily linked to him earlier on in the window, but it seems they've called their interest after signing Shirky. However, do not rule out the possibility of another club coming in for Gibbs-White. Number 40, Moise Kean. It's been a very up and down career for Kean, but it appears he has finally found his feet again after having the best season of his career and earning a recall to the Italian national team. His return to form hasn't gone unnoticed too, with clubs such as Manchester United rumoured to be interested in bringing him to Old Trafford. Number 41, Kyle Walker. At the age of City fullback is not the player he once was, but he does boast vast experience and is a serial winner who would add a lot to a squad. And with just a year remaining on his contract at a club who are seemingly trying to get rid of him at all costs, Walker would not break the bank. For that reason, many clubs will be interested in Walker around Europe this summer as he makes a permanent move away from City. Number 42, Andy Robertson. Despite playing 33 times for Liverpool last season, it appears Robertson's time as a starter at Anfield is over. Milos Kerkez has been brought in as his replacement, meaning it is very likely Robertson will depart. Diego Simeone is keen to bring the Premier League winner to Madrid, while other clubs around Europe are beginning to show interest. Number 43, Gonzalo Ramos. Despite being part of a treble-winning PSG team, Gonzalo Ramos could be looking for a move away this summer. Ramos hasn't enjoyed the best of times since joining PSG in 2023, and he has now been displaced as striker with Ousmane Dembele leading the line, and PSG are willing to let him go in search of regular minutes for the right price. Number 44, Dusan Flavic. After hitting 20 goals in his first two Serie A seasons, the Serbian has struggled to recapture that form in any of his last three with Juventus. For that reason, Juve are willing to let him go, but he is still just 25 and his contract expires in a year, so clubs will fancy their chances of a cheap deal for a player with the potential to score goals. A link-up with former boss Allegri at AC Milan has been heavily linked. Number 45, Tiano Barry. A breakout star from the La Liga season, Tiano Barry impressed in his debut campaign for Villarreal. Still just 22 years old, Barry is one of the best up-and-coming strikers in Europe, and after an impressive season, he's in demand. Everton are reported to be close to his signature, but other clubs could come calling, especially when he has a release clause of just £30 million. Number 46, Piero Hincapié. Like Boniface mentioned earlier, Piero Hincapié has been linked with big moves away for a while now, and is one of the few stars currently remaining at Leverkusen. Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City all have been linked heavily to Hincapié in the past few seasons, and with Leverkusen's project coming to an end, this could be a great chance for the 23-year-old defender to make the step up. Number 47, Heung-min Son. The Tottenham captain's future is unclear at of recording. With just 1 year left on his current deal, new manager Thomas Frank will be looking to overhaul this Tottenham squad, and Son may be a casualty of the Frank rebuild. While his performances tailed off towards the end of the season, Son is still a quality player and would have plenty of interest from other clubs. It's one to look out for, as the Tottenham's captain could be departing North London after a decade at the club. Number 48, Rodrigo Mora. While Son is coming to the end of his career, Rodrigo Mora is just starting. The teenager has emerged as one of the best talents to come from Portugal in a very long time. Big clubs were already keeping tabs on Mora, but after impressing at the Club World Cup for Porto, his stock is even higher. PSG are reported to be very keen, but Porto are desperate to keep their teenage sensation. Let's see if anybody triggers his £60 million release clause this summer. Number 49, Evan Ferguson. It's crazy how just a couple of years in football can drastically change a player's career. Evan Ferguson a couple seasons ago was being touted for £100 million moves to every Big Six club. However, after a couple injuries and limited game time at Brighton, Ferguson in 2025 is nowhere near that. He is still very young though and can still get back to that level, but will likely need a permanent move away from the Amex this summer to realise his potential. And finally, number 50 is Kareem Adeyemi. Chelsea were very keen on Adeyemi in January, but he was priced out of a move. It seems Chelsea have turned their attention to another Dortmund winger in Jamie Gittins, but a big move could still be on the table for Adeyemi. After another good campaign, Adeyemi is attracting interest from clubs such as Newcastle and Juventus. Dortmund desperately want to keep a hold of their star attacker, but it might be hard to fend off buyers. So there we go. Those are 50 players you need to watch out for who could be on the move this summer. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see